Data from industry analysts J.D. Power indicate customers are waiting at least an extra day, sometimes much more, to get their cars serviced. Why are we short that many essential workers? It's a combination of things, David, but I think the biggest thing is the societal prestige of these jobs has changed. Ford's CEO has recently acknowledged that, in some cases, getting vehicles repaired is becoming more difficult than many owners might expect. In an interview with Yahoo Finance, Farley said Ford alone has 6,000 empty service bays and the country is short of nearly 400,000 trained mechanics. He added that average repair wait times are now 2 weeks and many entry-level workers are juggling multiple jobs. What that could mean, for some owners, is a Ford sitting at a dealership for weeks without being touched. But here's the real shock. The reason Ford isn't telling the full story: a Ford mechanic has just exposed what's really going on behind the scenes. And if you own a Ford, or you're thinking about buying one, this is something you need to see before it costs you serious time and money. According to Ford's CEO, the current reality looks like this. Dealerships still have service bays, still have equipment, still have modern repair facilities, but they no longer have enough mechanics to run them. In other words, the infrastructure is still there, but the people are not. From that point, the message is guided quite clearly. Ford is struggling to recruit mechanics due to a general labor shortage and because younger generations are no longer interested in hands-on trades. When an industry starts running short on workers, the answer is often not "what did we do wrong?" but rather the next generation doesn't want to work hard anymore. Responsibility is subtly shifted from the system to society, from the company to broader social trends. And Ford, in this narrative, becomes an unwilling victim of the times. For many people, and perhaps for you as well, this argument may sound very familiar. You may have heard it when the steel industry declined, when manufacturing moved overseas, when many traditional trades began to disappear. And the recurring question is always the same. Is the problem really with the people, or with the conditions that make people no longer want to stay? If the story were simply about a labor shortage, then why hasn't this problem appeared only this year, but instead stretched on for many years? Why, within the same economy, do other hands-on trades, from construction and electrical work to heavy equipment operation, still attract workers, still retain them, and often pay better and more consistently? The real question isn't whether America still has people willing to work hard, but whether this particular work is still worth doing. Put yourself in the position of a mechanic. It's a job that requires high skill, significant investment in training and tools, real physical risk, and constant time pressure. If the income doesn't match the effort, if every repair job turns into a losing calculation, then leaving isn't laziness. It's a rational decision. The issue here isn't that there are no people who know how to fix cars. The issue is that many of the people who know how to fix cars have chosen not to work within this system anymore. There was a time when America built a solid middle class on skilled technical labor. Being a mechanic was once a respectable path, enough to support a family, buy a home, live stably, and retire with dignity. Not everyone worked in an office, and that was perfectly normal. So if today's conditions were still as good as before, if income were still sufficient, if effort were still respected, would this trade truly be something young people have turned their backs on? Empty service bays don't appear out of nowhere. They aren't the result of one bad hiring season or a short-term trend. They are the outcome of decisions made over many years, decisions about pay structures, vehicle design, and how companies view the role of the mechanic. From an executive boardroom perspective, a broken vehicle may look like just another job, a work order in the system, a repair code, a number in a report. But on the shop floor, that same vehicle means something very different. To a mechanic, it isn't just work to be done. It often feels like a personal financial gamble. Many car owners, especially those who remember simpler times, may assume mechanics are paid based on the hours they actually work. But in modern dealerships, things are rarely that simple. Most mechanics are not paid for the real time they spend in the shop. They are paid under what's called a flat rate system, a set number of hours defined by the manufacturer for each repair job. Not the hours that pass on the clock, but the hours written on paper. The critical issue is this: standard hours are not real hours. They are calculated under ideal conditions when the vehicle is new. Every bolt comes loose easily. Every component is perfectly placed, and nothing unexpected happens. A scenario that, frankly, rarely exists in real-world repair shops. Imagine a very common repair. A small component needs to be replaced. According to factory guidelines, the job pays 0.6 hours, about 36 minutes. On paper, that sounds reasonable. But to reach that component, the mechanic may have to remove an entire larger assembly. Bolts may be rusted after multiple winters. A sensor may be located where it's easy to break. A plastic part may have become brittle with age. The real time required can stretch into several hours, sometimes nearly a full day. Yet the pay remains capped at those same 36 minutes. Does that sound fair? Income is calculated based on standard hours, while actual time far exceeds them. The result is that the more of these jobs a mechanic takes on, the more their income is worn down. It creates a difficult paradox. It's not that doing less work makes you poor, it's that doing more work can still make you lose money. And for a profession that demands high skill, expensive tools, and real physical risk, this hardly feels like a stable foundation for supporting a family long term. It's hard to live off a job where every task costs you money. From the car owner's perspective, warranty repairs often feel free. There's no big bill, no need to pull out a wallet. But from the mechanic's side, warranty work tells a very different story. Free only applies to the customer. For the mechanic, it is often the lowest paying work in the shop. That pay is set by the manufacturer, not the dealership, and certainly not the person holding the tools. In day-to-day operations, it appears that a large portion of Ford vehicles entering service departments today are still under warranty. This may reflect increasing vehicle complexity, or simply that early life issues are not uncommon. Whatever the reason, the outcome is clear. Many cars need repair, but most of that work is warranty work. For mechanics, the difference between customer-paid repairs and warranty repairs is likely obvious. The effort, complexity, and risk may be similar, but the pay is not. One is paid directly by the customer. The other is paid by the manufacturer at rates optimized on paper. The direct result is that warranty jobs are often delayed. Cars begin to line up, not because parts are unavailable, not necessarily because there are no workers in the building, but because few people are eager to take on a job that leaves them feeling poorer once it's done. And this is where the car owner's experience becomes uncomfortably familiar. Your vehicle sits outside in the lot. Inside the shop, people are working. The sound of air compressors fills the air, but your car remains untouched. Modern Ford vehicles certainly look more modern. They come with more technology, more screens, more features. But perhaps along the way, the focus of design has shifted. Vehicles now seem to be optimized to leave the factory as quickly as possible. Repair, if it happens at all, appears to be treated as something that comes later. The top priorities of modern vehicle design seem fairly clear. Reduce assembly time, reduce manual labor, optimize for robots, automated production lines, and large-scale manufacturing consistency. From a cost perspective, these goals may appear perfectly reasonable, but the issue may lie in this: those priorities do not seem to be built with the future repair technician in mind. Inside the factory, vehicles are built in a very efficient way. Large modules are assembled separately and then joined together. The engine, chassis, body, and electrical systems are all pre-integrated before being fitted into the main vehicle structure. This approach is fast, consistent, and reduces assembly errors. On the production line, it works extremely well. However, when such a vehicle develops a problem in real life, the situation looks very different. If a small component buried deep inside a large module fails, direct access can seem almost impossible. Instead of removing a single part, the technician may be forced to remove the entire assembly. Components that were designed to never be taken apart now have to be separated. The downstream effects are quite clear. Repair time increases significantly. The risk of creating new issues during disassembly and reassembly also rises. And in a system where flat-rate labor times remain unchanged, the gap between the effort required and the compensation received seems to grow larger. Technicians lose out, and vehicle owners are left waiting longer. In the past, a single vehicle platform might remain in use for many years. Today, development cycles appear much shorter. Every few years brings a new generation, a major update. And, notably, these changes are not limited to exterior styling. The internal technical layout is frequently rearranged, bolt locations change, wiring routes are different, sensors are placed in new positions. Procedures that technicians once performed hundreds of times from memory can suddenly feel unfamiliar after just one model generation. As a result, each new generation of vehicles seems to become a new lesson. Meanwhile, standard labor times often fail to adjust accordingly. On paper, it may still be the same type of vehicle, the same platform. In reality, each layout change increases repair difficulty and extends the actual time required. The burden of relearning, therefore, falls directly on technicians. They must teach themselves, adapt on their own, and continuously update their knowledge just to keep working. Yet that learning time does not appear to be compensated. New knowledge is mandatory, but it does not translate into additional income. This creates a clear generational gap inside repair shops. Veteran technicians seem to lose the advantage of muscle memory built over decades. Younger technicians may learn faster, but they often lack the real-world experience needed to handle complex situations. The result appears to be lower overall system efficiency and inconsistent repair quality. In the long run, these effects land squarely on vehicle owners. A newer vehicle does not necessarily mean faster repairs. In some cases, waiting times appear even longer, and indirect costs grow higher. The process often sounds very familiar. The vehicle is brought into the shop, a technician diagnoses the problem, and then the vehicle largely sits still. Not because the issue is especially complex, not necessarily because parts are unavailable, but perhaps because no one is willing to take on a warranty repair that risks becoming a money-losing job. This is the part many owners never see. The vehicle rarely stays in the main service bay. It is usually pushed out to a holding lot. From the owner's perspective, the feeling is clear. The vehicle is not being touched, not being prioritized, and seemingly forgotten. Time passes with few updates, and the sense of unease grows. For those who think in very practical financial terms, waiting time is not just an inconvenience. Waiting time often feels like depreciation. A vehicle that is not being driven continues to age. The battery weakens, tires sit under constant load, and most importantly, there is no compensation for that lost time. The real paradox is that while the vehicle is not moving, the payments still are. Monthly payments, often in the range of $100 to $1,500, continue to come due. For many people, this is not a small amount. It may represent a significant portion of retirement income, savings, or funds set aside for other plans. You might think a rental vehicle solves the problem. Maybe, maybe not. Many dealerships share a limited number of loaner vehicles across far too many similar cases. As a result, owners are left to figure things out on their own, renting a car, borrowing one, or simply changing their daily routines entirely. Not exactly convenient. Because of this, the gap between expectation and reality becomes very clear. The expectation of buying a new vehicle is fewer problems, long-term peace of mind, and a sense of control. The reality some owners experience instead is extended waiting, limited information, and ongoing uncertainty. Vehicle prices appear to rise, while peace of mind quietly declines. The first link in this chain may lie in quality. As vehicle development cycles grow shorter, the pressure to bring products to market faster seems greater than before. This may cause certain issues to appear earlier in a vehicle's life cycle. For people who have been driving for decades, this difference is fairly easy to notice. Cars in the past often needed a break-in period before problems began to surface. Today's vehicles, in some cases, seem to develop issues while they are still very new. When quality becomes inconsistent, The next logical consequence is an increase in the number of vehicles returning to service departments. These are not repairs caused by natural wear after many years of use, but mandatory repairs during the warranty period. This causes the volume of warranty work in repair shops to grow steadily, even though this category of work tends to generate the least profit for the people doing it. From there, the third link becomes more visible. When compensation systems fail to reflect actual working time, and when vehicles become harder to repair, each warranty job seems to turn into an unfavorable economic decision for technicians. It is not that they are doing less work. On the contrary, they are doing a great deal of it. But it appears that this workload is not enough to ensure a stable living. Over time, this leads to the next link. Skilled technicians begin to leave the system. They do not disappear. They move into other industries, where their mechanical skills are paid more consistently and involve less risk. For Americans over 55, this pattern is familiar. When the most capable people leave, the system does not collapse immediately, but it begins to weaken from the inside. The next consequence is almost unavoidable. Fewer technicians, while the number of vehicles needing repair does not decrease. Waiting times begin to stretch longer. And notably, this situation no longer seems to be an exception. It gradually becomes the new normal. At this point, customer psychology begins to change. Vehicle owners may start to question their purchase decision, not because the vehicle no longer runs, but because of the feeling of being abandoned after having paid a significant amount of money. For older owners, trust is usually built over many years of use and accumulated experience, but it can also erode very quickly sometimes after just one long stay at the service department with no clear answers. When all these links are connected, the vicious cycle becomes fairly clear. Inconsistent quality leads to more warranty repairs. More warranty repairs cause technicians to lose money. Technicians leave. Repairs take longer. Customers lose trust, and sales come under pressure. When sales are affected, cost-cutting pressure may return, pushing quality even lower. A closed loop, and with each rotation, the situation seems to get worse. Buying a vehicle, in the end, is always a trade-off. The question is not whether there is a trade-off, but whether you truly understand what you are trading. If you already own a Ford, reality may not be as dramatic as many shocking headlines suggest. Your vehicle may still run well every day. But perhaps what needs to be faced honestly is the system behind that vehicle, the repair network, the warranty structure, the workforce, which no longer seems as solid as it once was. This does not mean panic or excessive worry is necessary. It may simply suggest a more cautious approach. Pay attention to early warning signs, even small ones. Do not wait for a major failure before having the vehicle checked. Prevention is better than cure. Right. That said, risk does not mean something will definitely happen. But when it does happen, the current system seems to make resolution slower and more complicated than before. Being aware of this can help you prepare mentally. A good vehicle is not only one that breaks down less often. It is also one that, when it does break down, can be repaired quickly, reasonably, and without keeping the owner awake at night. As designs become more complex, the repair system seems to be under greater strain. In that context, traditional values still appear to matter. Mechanical durability, accessible design, widely available parts. These may be what consumers truly need. If you are considering buying a new Ford, the most reasonable approach may be to look at it neutrally. Ford offers products that stand out in design and technology, but at the same time, long-term support deserves serious consideration. One simple, practical question. If your vehicle had to sit at the dealership for several weeks, would you be okay with that? If the answer is no, you may need to consider other options. Looking at the full picture, the core issue may not be whether Ford can sell vehicles. In reality, vehicles still appear to be selling steadily, even quite well. What feels heavier for many people is this. Once the vehicle leaves the showroom, the system behind it does not seem to keep pace. Not always broken, not always in crisis, but slow enough, messy enough, and exhausting enough for owners to clearly feel it. If you are a Ford owner, Share your repair experience, good or not so good, in the comments below. To wrap up, this video is for educational and informational purposes only, based on publicly available sources, manufacturer documentation, and automotive research. It does not aim to favor or criticize any specific brand. As always, verify details on your own, follow your vehicle's recommendations, and make informed choices. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you in the next one.